lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Ranty Flat Earth, Righteous Force, Paul Hall, and I think that's pretty much it in G+. How are you all doing?
Good morning.
Very good.
Good morning, good morning.
We're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord. Welcome one and all.
Morning.
Good morning. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Beverly Hills.
What?
Whenever you say Beverly Hills, I always picture a Lotus Esprit from Pretty Woman.
Why?
Pretty Woman.
Oh, okay.
You ever seen Pretty Woman? Drives
I picture the palm trees down the road. Is that Beverly Hills? I don't even know.
Rodeo Drive. Nice shops in it. Yeah, I picture a Lotus Esprit turbo going down. Going
When I was there, I saw a bunch of Bentleys and Rolls.
Yeah, lovely cars. So no Earth curve then from Beverly Hills.
Not from there. Not from there.
Axial rotation of the Earth-based variety for Ranty's benefit.
On the Lotus Esprit only.
No, it's quite an angular car. I know we're talking axial rotation, aren't we? Damn. Yeah.
Well, I can honestly say that I don't think anybody in the world, wherever they are, has ever felt themselves spinning. So in that respect, I can say, no, there is no signs of Earth axial rotation.
Anybody in Discord?
Well, apparently when you're born into something or on something that is already spinning and moving, you don't actually know that it's spinning and moving, apparently.
Oh, begging the question.
Yeah. In other words, from birth, program them to understand implicitly that they are moving even though they don't feel anything.
Just get a boat. Just get a boat and go on the ocean. You'll feel movement.
Do you remember that sniper video that's been going around for a while? That's the guy shooting east to west. Remember that?
No, but go on.
Okay.
Yeah, that one video.
It's supposed to be proof of Coriolis. And, for a long time we were arguing, the Globers were arguing that you can only notice Coriolis from north to south, right, from a sniper bullet. Well, now they've grabbed hold of that video of the sniper shooting east to west and saying because the bullet drops, going I forget which direction, that is proof of Coriolis now. And of course, you could know who this is probably talking about was Zanuck saying, asking the question, is the Earth rotating underneath? He goes, no, it's not. It's not rotating, but the bullet does drift up and down because of centrifugal forces.
That's not Coriolis effect. Okay. That's not Coriolis effect then.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I said. It's the Earth-Fast effect.
I have a question to ask about what you just said about the idea that we're born into this. We're already spinning, so we don't actually feel it. What happens if somebody's born at the North Pole and then they travel to the equator?
They should notice something.
Oh,
That's what you
don't
would
get
think.
technical, Ranty. Like, don't get too technical.
Well, there's literally, well, very, 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 very little no spin at all if you believe the globe model at the North Pole. So you wouldn't be feeling that, but you would certainly feel it when you go to the equator, right?
I'm pretty sure somebody actually asked that when the guy was talking about it.
You're gonna
pulled the old,
pre-assume
you know,
the
oh,
North
well, I'm a
Pole.
bit tired, you know, it's late here.
I've got a question for
You're
you,
gonna
Ranty.
pre-assume a North Pole and an equator, begging the question to start this conversation. Then.
Thank you
Yeah,
there.
you
Thank you,
delve
10th
into
man.
their realms.
Thank you. My question will span off of 10th man's declaration. Absolutely correct that it is. So, Ranty, you said if you believe the globe model and you were born at the North Pole, you would feel more rotation moving south because you believe a model? Is that what you're saying?
No, because you would be spinning faster if it was in their model.
No, we don't live on a model.
No, in their model. I
But
know
their
we don't
model's
live
just
on
a model.
Nathan, but
But
in their model, to
in
get
their model.
into their model, yeah.
But that's
all right. To get into their reality, their reality is that we're spinning.
No.
Well,
that's no. That's right. No. In their model, you said it right the first time. In their model, it's spinning. But to assume that you would be spinning because a model is spinning is a reification fallacy now, isn't it?
Yeah, so what you do is you go into their model and you say, well, if that's your answer to why we don't feel Earth spin, then how come somebody born at the North Pole that suddenly goes to the equator isn't suddenly feeling very sick?
Well, because they don't live on the model.
Exactly. We don't live on a spinning ball, and we can disprove that by that simple question.
Yeah, the spinning ball is just a model that they assert. It's not the reality we live upon. We live on Earth. The model is just a model. What the model does and how it behaves based on these terms you've used for that model, equator, North Pole, those model factors are only applicable to the model. And what would happen if you lived on the model, which we don't?
Let me give an example with the bullet.
Even spin.
The bullet being fired has velocity, and that velocity gets less and less. So it's going to fall. And they call that Coriolis. But if you've ever shot from any type of rifle or gun, it's straight as it can be as long as it has the velocity. But you got to take into account winds and other things. And that's why they got the spotter with the sniper. But to say that you've got to account for the earth movement when you shoot something is doublespeak for the velocity of the bullet slowing down, and you got to really account for the drop.
Is this
because
bullet?
don't they bring in conservation of energy or momentum at some point when you're trying to explain certain things?
Constipation of energy? What?
Well, no, I mean my momentum, but they try asserting that with me as though what's moving is going to continuously be moving. I'm pretty sure they asserted forever kind of deal, like it's going to always conserve its momentum somehow.
Really?
So it's not in a friction.
When I see a stop sign and I lift my foot off the gas pedal so I could coast to the stop sign, so I don't have to use my brakes if at all possible. What happened to the conserving of that momentum when I could actually notice slowing down?
Sorry,
Exactly.
yeah,
it's one of those double speak moments without double speak.
Hold on. That might be true, but we're now detailing a non-Coriolis effect then. The claim of a retention of the velocity of the non-inertial reference frame is a claim that you don't see any deviation. In order for there to be a Coriolis effect, it's you observing a projectile leaving a spinning reference frame and entering a non-spinning reference frame. Now, if their assertion is that it retains the velocity of the spinning reference frame, then that's not Coriolis effect. It must relinquish itself of the velocity of the non-inertial spinning reference frame, ergo you see it deviating while you remain on the non-inertial spinning reference frame. So if it's conserving it, it's akin to saying, I've got a helicopter on a roundabout, a little drone, and it, me, and the roundabout are all spinning together. Underneath that drone, while it's attached to the roundabout, is a little X that I've drawn on the roundabout. Now, when you push the up stick on your remote control for the drone leaves the roundabout and hovers above it. Now, you continue to spin underneath it. The drone hovers, it's not moving at all relatively, it's just in one position. Now, you continue to rotate underneath. That's Coriolis effect. Now, if your claim is that it retains the velocity of the spinning reference frame, you're essentially saying that a drone takes off from a roundabout and continues to hover above the X, because it's retained the velocity of the roundabout. Well, therefore, you're not seeing it deviate. It's remaining above the X it took off from. Well, that's not deviating anymore. Not that that's possible, but even though it's not possible, that claim is a claim that there isn't any deviation. And their claimed proof of globe turn is Coriolis deviation, the effect you would observe as something leaves the claim to be spinning reference frame of Earth. Now, this whole argument, of course, takes place in a world where we assume Earth is automatically spinning. Whether or not it retains velocity or deviates is just going to be an argument they'll have while we all merrily beg the question that Earth's automatically spinning. So in order to have a Coriolis deviation, Earth must be spinning. So first prove Earth's spinning. Let's not just automatically assume it's spinning and some random effect you claim you observe is a result of that automatic assumption that Earth is spinning. And that we're automatically born into a spinning Earth whether we realise it or not. And that assumption holds true always, as a fundamentalist religious believer in a spinning ball Earth model. It doesn't. You must first prove your premise, prove Earth turns, then start claiming the effects that you're observing as a direct result of the fact that Earth spins. What they do is assume Earth spins and then claim some effect they've observed as a result of it. No, it could be a result of many different things, especially when you've got a projectile being fired at a man-made device at great velocity. There's air, wind, and other things that can affect that projectile. None of them will be factored in, they'll just blame it on their presupposition that Earth is turning. No, prove Earth turns first, before we start getting into these effects. Secondary. Prove it spins, then we'll start arguing about this claim to be effect that's supposed to be caused by Earth rotating under the bullet. What's that they say? Oh, it's retaining velocity. So we can argue back and forth about whether or not it's deviating underneath, so long as we automatically beg the question Earth's turning in every single example. That's what they want, for you to assume it's turning in every example. Doesn't matter if it's deviating or retaining the velocity, both examples take place with Earth turning. They have to beg the question.
Can we ask the gas pressure question?
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon, for all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe the sky is a vacuum without the gas we breathe dispersing into it, violating the second law of thermodynamics? Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Not
No.
for long.
Yeah, Zanuck actually explained that.
Did no one get the hint
What
that Ranty had
happens
something
is-
on this? Clearly not.
Yeah, I've got
What
the nip
happens
out in a
is the
minute,
molecules
so I'd
of
just
gas
like to
hit
sort
one
of
another in a
follow
cloud.
up. I'd just like
Let's
to
try that
follow
again.
up the
Hold on,
same
Ranty.
logic. Sorry,
Try that again.
go on.
The fact that Ranty brought it up was a hint that he had something on this for everybody who's continually interrupting him.
Oh, okay, sorry, Rafi.
No worries.
Yep.
So the logic of the globe idea is that the higher up you go, the less pressure there is, to the point where, you know, almost no gas pressure can exist next to a vacuum of space, 10 to the minus negative 17 to, or whatever the hell it is. Anyway, the simple point is this, right? When NASA has, quote unquote, a spaceship up in outer space, the ISS, there was actually, according to them, a hole in the actual ISS itself, where the vacuum of space was right next to 14.7 psi. Now, I have a question. How violent do you think that interaction would be, 10 to the minus 17 torr, next to 14.7 psi, regardless of the size of the hole, which apparently was just 2 millimeters? So let's go into their let's ask a glober here. How violent do you think that interaction would be, you know, when you consider those forces involved?
That's being addressed to any globers in the Discord panel. Do you want it left rhetorical, or do you want me to answer it, Ranty?
Well, I'm just waiting to see if there's anybody that could answer that. Firstly, it doesn't seem that anybody is willing to step up to the plate and go into this particular conversation, simply because apparently somebody's finger was placed over the hole, which stopped this interaction. Apparently, the reason they realized that there was some kind of issue was that they noticed a slight loss in air pressure aboard the station. a slight loss. Nathan, now you can carry on. What do you think would happen with those two forces interacting with each other?
The gas would instantaneously fill the volume it had available to it. The reaction would be extremely violent. Likewise, I don't think it's 10 to the minus 17 torr in the region they're claiming. It's probably more like 10 to the minus 6. Nevertheless, it's equivalent to those giant gas chambers they have here that we can physically go to and examine. And they have to have really thick walls to stop the gas on the outside trying to make its way in to the vacuum chamber. So to stop the gas that is at 14.7 working its way into the chamber, they have to have massive thick walls to achieve the similar level 10 to the minus 6 torr. Well, in the ISS, it's reversed. You've got, instead of a vacuum chamber, you've got this second law of thermodynamics violation claimed to be vacuum of the sky region that they're travelling around in a tin can, and they haven't got massive thick walls, but you've got the gas pressure inside the tin can trying to force its way out into the available volume it has available to it.
So when you've got a tin of hairspray or something, what happens when you push the nozzle down and you expose, you let the gas inside the container interact with the pressure outside? What happens there?
The higher pressure of the hairspray is going to want to rapidly disperse into the lower pressure surrounding it.
Yeah, it fucks off out of the can, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So for those fundies out there that think that this actually happened and think that the ISS is actually in this region, I'd like you to think about this, because it doesn't seem logical to me that this would be plugged by somebody's finger, and then apparently they put some tape over the hole that stopped this. They secured it with
bit
tape.
of gaff tape. Just a bit of gaff tape. That's what I got told as well. They could put some gaff tape over the hole, and it's all sweet. Just plug it up.
However, this entire story takes place in the sky vacuum, regardless of what value they attribute or the story they said about what happened when they had a hole in this claim to be tin can in a region that is fake. Now, the gas we are actually experiencing, we're all breathing right now as we have this conversation, that gas is expanding in all directions and wants to fill the available volume it has to fill. Ergo, if the sky was a vast space the gas we're breathing could fill, it would fill it. Entropy would increase and the gas we breathe would vacate and fill that space. Ergo, the entirety of the story can be completely disregarded out of hand because it's claimed to take place in a region not too dissimilar from Narnia, i.e. a region that is not real. That region being outer space, a second law of thermodynamics violation. Vacuum of the sky is not real. Therefore, this story isn't real because it takes place in a place that is not real.
Yeah, and just to sort of
What if
follow
I
up, is that
offer up
their
something else
argument
that isn't
is
real
that 14.7
to counter it?
psi, where we are right here, is a pressure gradient that leads us to get to this vacuum, and that's why this can exist. Well, this story completely goes against that. 14.7 psi versus the vacuum of space outside, with a hole allowing both to interact with each other. And somebody was able to, well, first and foremost, they were able to decide that there was an issue, firstly, because, we're losing a bit of gas pressure here, guys. Let's go and find a hole, shall we? And then they spent a few hours looking around for this hole, found it, somebody stuck the finger in it and plugged it up with a bit of gaffer tape. I mean, come on.
Well,
here you go, I got something.
Just a quick shout out, Paul. Sorry to cut you off. To Alexander, he says, NASA, put your finger in the vacuum chamber and show us what will happen. Yeah, shout out for the super chat as well. Thank you very much for your support, Alexander. So yeah, exactly. So if it's claimed to be analogous, the pressure that we're at here, atmospheric pressure in their rhetoric, is the same as the pressure differential between the vacuum chambers they have and the atmospheric pressure inside the ISS. From that perspective, it's comparable. You could put a hole in one of those giant chambers, and according to them, not that your finger's going to stretch through the 3 foot of rebar and concrete, but nevertheless, a hole could apparently be plugged between the two, and there would be no issue. It would be comparable, completely comparable, because the guy on this side, at the pressure side, is the same as what they claim in the violation of the natural law of the second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum, where they're claiming this story happened. Well, they're saying you just put a finger over it, the the finger was on the pressure side, the vacuum was on the other side. Well, they could replicate that here with a gas, with a vacuum chamber. Just make a hole in it. You've then got the equivalent of what they had, space on the other side, gas pressure this side. Let's see if you can prevent anything happening by putting your finger on it.
Real quick, what's the ISS made out of? Aluminum, mostly. Is that right?
No, zip ties and
No.
dreams.
Okay. I'm just saying, what's the narrative? Well, I just did a quick search. This is that guy's name's the Action Lab. He puts a sealed soda can inside of a vacuum chamber. I'm not going to play it for copyright issues, but I'll scrub through it. So this is at the point where the vacuum is pretty much gone. But watch what happens to the soda can. I'll play just a few seconds because it's actually kind of cool watching it. So if you can turn the volume off and just watch it for a couple of seconds, watch. There you go. There was the violent release of the pressure inside the can. This is even sealed. So the can was sealed, but the pressure inside the can with the vacuum outside the can blew the top off of it. So there you go.
However, just to put the other side, the seal on a modern Coke can between the ring pull and the can itself is absolutely minute. Microns, it's tiny.
Well, that's true. That's a good point, and I'm not going to deny that point. But haven't we seen pictures of that little flimsy door on the ISS? Just so you know, little flimsy door.
Sorry, we're back to we're having a new story from Narnia.
Yep, another story from Narnia.
All of these stories can be automatically debunked by asking how we have gas pressure here on Earth without the necessary antecedent of a container. Because if they're claiming this region is real, that means they're claiming the sky is a vacuum. And the gas we breathe would fill that space. It doesn't, therefore the sky is not a vacuum. So this entire story, doesn't matter which one it is, bendy doors or fingers over, CD album covers. Holes. Did no one pick up on that? Picture they released was of an album cover.
Right.
Here's the hole in the ISS. No, that's an album cover. I'm sure it got explained away as a mere mistake. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
No evidence for the beautiful light in the sky and its distance.
About scientific evidence of gravity.
Why do they call it gravity when it's something else?
You're asking me? I don't know. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Well,
No.
they're going to say gravity, which is begging the question because they can't prove it. So why are they calling it gravity when it could be something else?
It's the same question. I don't know.
Shout out to Tent Man. I think
Shout out
that's
retracted.
the way we should.
Shout out retracted, he says.
Who said that? Who said that?
10th man.
That man.
No, I wanted to say that this is the way we should all answer this question as Tent Man just did. Why do they call something else gravity?
Don't we know we have gravity because we've got gas pressure?
This is a good time for Arwen to do his equilibrium, disequilibrium explanation.
No. So what they claim gravity is would be a downward force. Gas expands in all directions, so no.
Right. Yeah. Even
Gravity is a
gravity,
conscious
as
force.
as supposed to be a weak force, it's not capable of doing that. It's just not explained.
But gravity is not a force.
Right, but they can think of it as a force, and even as they think of it as a force, it still doesn't work when they do.
Shout out to Rob L. He says, hello all. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat, Rob L. Really appreciate it. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics in their entire histories?
No, still waiting for Dr. Becky to respond, but she hasn't. I may have to send another chat message.
Do you see the advertisement I got this morning from Neil deGrasse Tyson on my early bird show?
Yeah, I did. Andres.
The Wizard School.
Yeah, that was interesting. Andres, who's on the chat room here, sent it on his channel too last night.
What, one of the ads
What
that
was
plays is a Neil deGrasse Tyson ad? Didn't you have
It
Masterclass?
was. I got that ad on my early bird show myself, and I paused it and then I played it on the show.
For ages it was Masterclass. It was Chris Hatfield saying about space.
It is Masterclass. He calls.
Go on, Ted.
Right.
Yeah, government-sponsored propaganda.
It's also hilarious, by the way, if I may for a second, like that masterclass thing. If you clicked on that link, then you get to see like, oh, this is Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is what he talks about. And then it's like, oh, explore other classes like art of negotiation, cooking, filmmaking, teaching, acting, and the art of magic. Those are the associated alternatives.
I was going to say, is wizardry in there?
Well, yeah, teach the art of magic, as in
It's what they don't tell you. It's not for muggles.
Exactly. Right.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
They say there is. They say that that's what's happening.
Yeah, we know. Any evidence that there's a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of an Earth that's presupposed to be spherical?
Okay, so words of others aren't actually evidence.
No evidence for it. And what was the comeback for this was the heat that's adjoins this molten iron core would stop what kind of magnetics from working?
What about the Curie point? It's
Yeah,
beyond the Curie
that's what
point
I've
in their
heard.
rhetoric.
So even answer to the curing port with the or
But that's why it says, that's why the word self-perpetuating are in there. We move on. Any evidence of the R value?
Radius of what?
Presupposition of Earth being this model that was detailed by Ranty earlier, when they juxtapose it by way of reification with the actuality of our life that we experience. R value for their model. You know, that model that they reify.
You mean their base assumption?
Yeah, the base assumption. You've got it. You know what I'm talking about. The R value, Earth radius. Anybody at all? Any evidence or justification for this presupposition you fundies all hold? They need a moderator, and then Earth is again globe. How do you say this person's name? UNATOCSVEMU. I'm not even going to attempt it, but thank you very much indeed for the super chat.
What? What's wrong with Unatok Svenmo?
Yeah, because that's exactly how I would have said it, Arwin. Thank you. That concludes the housekeeping, by the way. So did Simon Dan make me an advert?
Good morning, people.
Hey, Chocolate.
Yo,
Woke up to a load of cronies from Simon Dan on a really old video, probably 4 or 5 year old video.
Chocolate.
Hey, Chocolate.
Yo, yo. What's going on? How's everybody?
Very well. Not bad. How are you, Chocolate?
Doing
So
good.
so much for Simon Dan. Chocolate's here.
Is
I'm
chocolate
doing
next,
good, guys.
next best thing?
Everyone was
So what
on
was this?
mute over at the other server, so ended up coming over here.
So what was the Simon response to a 4-year-old video about?
I don't know. I don't follow Simon Dan. I woke up this morning and typically I'll give maybe 10 minutes to moderating comments. And one of the comments, or lots of comments, were on a really old video about how the videographer of the launch from the moon had timed the way the picture goes off. You know, I don't know why I'm
The
tongue
lift
tied
off
about the videography,
lift
but anyway.
off of the LEM.
Yeah, the launch of the LEM. It's basically a high wire trick. You know, they're pulling a wire and something on the set's going up. And it's blatantly filmed on a set. When I first made that video, I didn't actually know the full rhetoric that they claimed that they'd remote controlled it from Earth. Well, okay, so they've got the batteries on this lunar rover, apparently with a remote control camera that's sending it to the orbiter that's then relaying it to Earth with a couple of car batteries in their rhetoric. Now, that was something I didn't know when I made that video 4 years ago or 5 years ago, or however long it was. But that's not how I'd argue that point now. I'd go, sorry, how did they get the camera there? Oh, they travelled through the second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum to get it there, did they? Oh, no, they definitely didn't take anything to a claim to be rock in the sky, because they'd have to travel through a second law of thermodynamics violation. If they're travelling through a vacuum, how am I breathing? Would be my argument now, as opposed to the way the videographer filmed something that's blatantly on a stage. Nevertheless, like I say, I've had lots of Simon Dan cronies come along, so I can only assume I've had an advert made, but I did do a quick search and I didn't see anything, so unless I'm imagining it.
Was that in regards to the rover on Mars that they were supposed to be that one?
See, now that's what they want you to do, is argue about the then positive arguments for a rover on Mars when you can't even get to Mars. That's the trick right there.
No. Yes and no. Correct 10th band. They want you to argue about somewhere you can't get to. But ultimately speaking, when you're arguing about, no offence to Taboo Conspiracy, because he's going to be on Bullbusters on 27th. So shout out to Ben. Really looking forward to chatting with you. But his argument with Simon Dan, which I have seen because I'm subscribed to Taboo Conspiracy 2, subscribed today, is that he's saying, well, here's all the points that I would say make the LEM fake or the LM fake. And I wouldn't necessarily argue that way. I'd say the journey was claimed to take place in a second law of thermodynamics violation. That's the end of that argument. Rather than arguing about whether or not something would be capable of travelling through space, because then you're essentially begging the question of space. And it's the same for Mars. It doesn't matter if you're arguing about whether or not they're filming it in Greenland rather than on the rock that is Mars in the second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, because in both instances you're arguing about whether or not they're in space or not. Are they filming it on Earth or on the rock in space? Well, again, you just debunk the argument by saying, no, that light in the sky is not a rock that you can travel to, and they definitely haven't travelled to it. Oh, well, why would you say that, Mr. Flat Earth idiot? Well, because the sky is not a vacuum. The gas we breathe would fill the space. To assert that we've got gas pressure without a container is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. Ergo, that region that they claim to travel to get to Mars, a claim to be rock in the sky, is an automatically fake claim. They're not travelling through a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. The sky is not a vacuum. End of that argument.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I try and remain true to that standard. But I'll just say I did find it funny when I seen that video of them doing that Mars bloody mission thing and realizing that, hang on, are they doing something in real time or assuming to be doing something in real time here with what's going on? And that's just bullshit in itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see why something like this would come back. I figured I'd dedicate 2 seconds out my days to go to my Google and see what they're posting on a daily basis. And it's funny because yesterday they released the article by Megan Bartels, and it's titled NASA's Mars lander Mole is digging again as Mars quake mysteriously baffles science. I'm going to read like 2 paragraphs. And it says, InSight touchdown in November 2018 on a quest to understand the interior of the red planet. 2 of its crucial tools for that task were a burrowing heat probe nicknamed the Mole and a super-sensitive seismometer to study motion within the planet. But soon after spacecraft personnel told the Mole to get digging, something went wrong. And scientists and engineers affiliated with the mission have been strategizing ways to get the instrument moving ever. What a nice Christmas story, huh?
Beautiful. just do a couple of quick shout outs. So, Unatok Svemu means despite everything in Serbian. Okay. Well, thank you very much for giving me clarity. I'll probably still butcher your name when you if you super chat again. I hope you do. Thank you very much for your support. Really do appreciate it. Also, a shout out to, who's the other one? Let's scroll back up. Julio Pabon, thank you very much indeed for your super chat. He says, one question globetards cannot answer for me so far is, if the gas next to the vacuum disperses into space because of its low PSI, then how did it become 14.7 psi in the first place after the Big Bang? Question mark. Yeah, right. Oh, if it's got nothing to press on, how did it actually reach 14.7 psi to begin with? I like it, Julio Papon. Indeed, you do. Correct, Amundo. Thank you very much for your super chat.
That Xanax
Shout out to those first few gas molecules. Again, special shout out, because, you know, if it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't have an atmosphere.
Amazing what those molecules can do, but
they don't. But we're going to catch up with the ones that have
ruin the fun, but
the pretend ones in their fundy belief of model-based worlds with vacuums as the sky. Well, in that world, there's a couple of molecules out there that decided they're not going to be like the rest of those molecules. Natural law doesn't apply to them. They're rebels amongst molecules. Obviously, we're anthropomorphizing molecules into kind of being people, but that doesn't matter. They're rebellious molecules. Shout out to...
Have you heard Dallas's latest
I'm going to butcher this guy's name.
Getting around with?
Just one sec. Mentioned that? Just one sec. Shout out to Unitox Femu, who says, I hope I got your name right, Rumpus, Zanuck, George, Brenda, Riders of the Apocalypse. Thank you very much for your super chat.
Yeah,
that's like the globe. That's like the globe legion of doom.
Hold on, Chocolate.
Right.
Hold on, Chocolate.
Apocalypse actually means awakening, so that's very
Hold on.
wrong.
I cut this guy off, and now he's trying to get his words back in. Go ahead. Don't do it to me. Come on.
Yeah, sorry, that was bad timing. Like, the other half's calling on Skype. I'll just make it quick. Dallas is getting around. He's got things to say about water and something about, he's got some inside knowledge about it. You'll hear about it. It'll come along your way, I'm sure. But I was just wondering if you had heard it yet.
Doesn't ring a bell from what you've said, if I'm honest.
You know what Dallas
Who
is
did
like.
you say?
He just keeps going with it.
He's talking about Dallas, David, and his water gas.
Oh, Double D.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I've got to go, but hey, thanks, guys.
Been lovely chatting to you. So, for those of you watching live, there was a fairly extended conversation with that chap in the pre-show. Very interesting. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was good. Now, the last thing I remember with David Dallas, Double D, was saying that Russia wasn't next to Alaska, and the way he knew it was because when you went there, the Russians arrested you. Remember that, Lou?
I heard him saying that too. Yeah.
We all had a big laugh at that one.
Marco Green says, you must add a housekeeping question. Any evidence of the creator? Yeah, there is evidence of the creator. Plenty. We've discussed this on many a show. Check out The Creator versus Atheism. There's a link in the info box below if you are of the same mindset as Marco here. Fair play to you if you are. Yeah, so when the... what was it detailed on that show? First law of thermodynamics and I believe the double slit quantum eraser. So check it out. If you want scientific validity for there being a creator, it's not like we need to ask for housekeeping questions in that regard when there's scientific validity being given to that assertion.
Where did you even get the information to formulate that question?
Where'd you get the information? I like it. Well done, Chocolate.
Good one, Chocolate.
Yeah, there had to be a knower for there to be information.
These are the same people who will stand by the fact that to have a car, you got to have a factory and a good set of blueprints and design car. But they look at the complexity of all of life and how beautiful it is, and someone designing this. So no creator for us. It's got to be evolution. It's absurd.
Evolution.
Here's the logic.
Hold on. Evolution is a first law of thermodynamics violation.
Agreed.
Shout out to Unitox Femu. He says, water is always curving on the globe doesn't. Don't really understand that sentiment, but thank you very much for the super chat. Water is always curving on the globe doesn't. Also, shout out to MC Universe Sacred Truth Seeker. Thank you very much for the super chat. Says, the reason for the globe is control in order to turn you into a, and then a goofy face, and then into, and then a picture of, what was that a picture of? I'm not sure what that's a picture of, but thank you very much for the super chat. It's on screen if anyone can figure out what that emoji is.
All I was going to say, I'm going to give them the dirt first of all. So not where you get the dirt from to begin with. This is the logic that they use. I'm going to put all the parts necessary for an airplane in a warehouse. Given enough time, if I come back to that warehouse, there's going to be an airplane in there. That's their logic.
Yeah, QE's example is with the sand dunes, and he has two pictures, one of sand dunes and, you know, some strapline across or headline across the top saying, with infinite time will you get this? And then he has a picture of a sandcastle, like one that's been carved out by a dude with a you know, a tool rather than one that's come out of a bucket. In other words, a fairly elaborate sandcastle. And the answer is no. Doesn't matter how much time you blow those sands around, you're never going to end up with that sandcastle.
Well, see, and I'm giving them the fact that all the parts are there. They're right in the right proportion. They're right in the right, you know, config, you know, the right design, but they're not put together. So I'm giving them a lot. If I put all the raw materials in that same warehouse and give them enough time, then they're still going to say that an airplane will pop out.
You've already taken my line from me, though, haven't you? Because obviously my response to that would be, "Where'd you get the dirt?" But you've already robbed that from me, you bastard.
Yeah, I gave him the dirt first, so I gave him that. So, yeah.
Everyone excited about Christmas?
Yeah, it's going to be great to see family and loved ones.
Yeah, I'm bringing a new gift into the world, so I'm going to be looking forward to Christmas.
Let's hope she's not born on Christmas Day.
We've got a C-section scheduled for the 29th, so you probably won't hear from me for a while after that. For a while.
After Christmas is definitely better than before. Well,
yeah, Nathan, you said earlier this. I want to say that the Book of Genesis also agrees with you. When on the second day, the Creator made the firmament, and on the fourth day, He made the sun, moon, and stars and put them inside of this firmament. So, according to Genesis, the earth was made first, and there was a container of some type. And then the sun, moon, and stars were put inside that container. So the sky is not a vacuum, correct?
Shout out to Elijah Freeman, who says, like, share, and sub. I completely echo those sentiments. The only reason we get the numbers that we do on the show are because people share the show. Because we're definitely not getting overly promoted by YouTube anymore. That's been the case for a very long time. So a massive shout out of appreciation to everyone who does actually share these shows. I know when I'm in the chat, I'll pester like hell for people to just smash the share button and share it on Facebook. I say at the beginning of every show and the beginning of each live show. So, yeah. Please share the show. Thank you very much for your super chat, Elijah Freeman. I really appreciate your support. And the sentiment.
Compass is in chat.
You got much planned over the colder periods, Ranty? With your drone and the like? Oh, bloody hell. It's way too cold to go out with a drone. Yeah, I agree, Ranty. I didn't think you were going to say yes. Bloody hell. No? These Ranty jokes not going over?
Ranty's on mute.
Yeah, I think he's disappeared. Shout out to Rakia Life. So, what rock and explosion and how much time to make a baby? God's gift of life, Rakia Life. And then another shout out to butchering your name. Let's get right up to it. Unitook Svemu Rumpus. Are you software or virus? Okay, I don't know what that refers to, but thank you very much indeed for the super chat.
Unatok Svemu. Come on.
Utak Svemu.
Unatok Svemu.
I won't say it over and over, otherwise it'll lose all meaning. Utok Svemu. Thank you very much for your super chat. Really appreciate your support.
Better late than never, but guys, do you realize that when we come to the quantum razor and the double slit, we've only seen cartoons of this stuff?
You've only seen what, sorry?
Cartoons only. We've never seen it done.
There's a link to an actual double slit quantum eraser experiment in the link below this video. Check it out.
No,
it's
no,
not
no.
a cartoon.
I mean actual demonstrations.
Yeah, an actual demonstration.
Things happening.
Yes. Check it out. Link below.
I've seen this one, but when it has to show the two slits, it cuts to animation.
The one with Morgan Freeman?
Yeah.
It explains it with an animation, but it's got an actual demonstration in that video.
Yeah, but it only shows a diffraction pattern.
Fair enough. You want to pick floor with it. I'm not going to argue. Fine. You say cartoons are in that video, therefore it's bunk. I'm not even going to argue with you, if you say so. The fact that
how about an actual demonstration of the wavefunction's collapsion without explaining it, but by showing it? I think that's what Dejan is pointing at.
Yeah.
I think this experiment
visual proofs of the collapse.
You realise this has been done tens of thousands of times, this experiment, right?
Yeah, that's what all the ballers say about their stuff too.
No, they would say it about something that's not a valid hypothesis, and then say it's been done thousands of times.
Yeah, well, it's not in the video, so.
What, the hypothesis isn't laid out in the video?
No, the actual demonstration of the wave function collapse.
You can do that yourself, but you could do that yourself.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's what all the ballers say. I want to see it on the video. And it's not there.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sit here defending the delayed choice or the double slit experiment. No.
Your prerogative.
Yeah, it is.
So let me see if I get this right. The photosensitive, two different types of patterns. One is a probability wave function pattern of particles, and the other one is the two clump patterns. Are you saying that the photosensitive plate actually didn't pick up two
cut off at the end?
Are we saying that the photosensitive plate, that in one sense, in one experiment, a function probability factor, pattern, uh, with particles, and the other only showed the two clumps of pattern. And the photosensitive plate is a physical object, and it picked up these images on it. Are you saying that didn't occur?
Or how about actually showing it?
They have that. They
Because
have
it's
the
not my video.
photosensitive.
That's why. That's why there's just a link to whoever. It's probably not their video either, but it's not my video. So there's just a link. Go and check it out yourself. No, I'm not going to play it. It's not mine. Sorry if that draws a conclusion to this conversation. It's not the intention, but no, I'm not going to be playing that video. There is a link below. Go and check it out.
All right. Well, I've seen interactive empirical demonstration that, to me, proved that light has a speed by interactively on camera varying and manipulating distance, therefore the time it takes. I've seen that, and I'm very satisfied about that being absolutely true and empirical. With this, however, not so much. Yeah.
So when they have the same mechanism doing the actual experiment, shooting the light over the same distance at the photosensitive plate through the slits, not changing the actual apparatus itself, but getting two different results on the photosensitive plate. What's happening there then?
I don't know. They changed the setup, and therefore it's a different setup. They're not.
They didn't change the setup. It was the same setup. It was the which
really?
path, and then they are saying that it's the same setup with the same distances of light going through the two same slits to different photosensitive plates, as one is being the which path information is known and the other one isn't, and you get two different results on that photosensitive plate. Are you saying
Okay.
that isn't happening?
Well, it's very nice that you mentioned they're saying, but people saying things to me that's how it's supposed to work is really not empirical evidence. I want to actually see them vary and manipulate the thing that causes it on the spot.
But that's what they're showing you with the photosensitive plate.
No, it's not a one non-stop shot and then suddenly the output changes. No, it's different shots with a lot of explanations in between. You don't know what they did.
So
I
when
want to
they
see
went,
interactive manipulation like I did with the speed of light.
so when they set up the more rigorous example set up with the double slit delayed choice with the prisms, so that they can actually know which path something was going to come out of, you're not accepting that?
I think that whole thing is already based on certain presuppositions, and it's not actually proving interactive change. It's just another mechanical setup. It's not the factor is not being interactively manipulated. It's just a contraption.
So then why is the photosensitive plate showing two different results?
I don't know if they are. People told you. I want to see interactive manipulation. I want to see it done on the spot and not just two different visuals and then people telling you that is
Well,
what happened. I want to
I
see
think
it demonstrated on the spot, non-stop shot.
why don't you demonstrate it? Because it says that you can do this on your own. There's examples of how to do this on your own with. That's what I've seen on a video. If you do YouTube, I haven't done it myself, but it's do it yourself, and then I didn't watch the rest of it.
I don't have money for the equipment that's required for that. I know
No,
I can get a diffraction pattern. Yeah, that's not very tough. I know how that works. That has nothing to do with it, though. That's not actively very manipulating the wave function collapse, because that is what I want to see done interactively, non-stop shot, not be told about it. I want to see it.
Theo says you can do. You don't need the expensive apparatus. I'll try to find it.
Equipment.
No, it's not talking about equipment. It's saying you can do this on the base level. I'll find it and send it to you.
Oh, sure. Hey, if you can do it and you can film it, show me.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making this show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!